Hello and welcome to Empire of Wargames. My name is Iplesh and today we are talking about the new leaked Drukhari datasheets for the Kabalite Warriors and the Wyches. Consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing if you enjoy the content. Stay tuned. The datasheets you can see here are from the repackaged Kabalite Warriors and Wyches kits. So let's take a look what we have here. For the Kabalite Warriors, we have a lot of changes, but we've already seen their stat line, so I'm going to skip it and focus on the weapons. Oh, and please keep in mind that these box inserts have no special rules. So if a weapon, for example, has the blast special rule, we wouldn't get that information on here. First up, we have the Splinter Rifle. It seems to have stayed the same, but as with the Splinter Cannon we saw previewed a couple of days ago, the weapon now has a strength value as well. So the changes to poison weapons will be a little more elaborate than we might have initially expected. Next, we have the Blaster, which looks unchanged. The Shredder, meanwhile, went up from 12 inches to 18 inches, which is amazing. I hope it still just costs 5 points. Next up, we have the Splinter Cannon. It was previewed already, so we knew what to expect here. Good changes overall for the weapon, but nothing new. Next up, we probably have the most impactful change on here. The Shadowlands went from a very unreliable damage d6 to damage d3+3, which is a massive upgrade from a formerly wildly swingy weapon. Having access to reliably high damage weapons is precisely what Drukhari need, so I'm very happy to see this change pop up here. The blast pistol seems mostly unchanged. I would have honestly liked if the Dark Lanes change for the blast pistol would have applied as well. I think D3+3 damage would have made the blast pistol really good, but I hope it gets some other sort of help, like, rerolling the damage die at half range. As it stands, there are no visible changes on this rebox insert here, so we have to wait for the whole codex to release until we can, make a final judgment if the blast pistol is better or worse, or if something changed. Alright, there are no changes for the Splinter pistol either, except for the defined strength value of 2. There's not much to say here, except that maybe the Splinter rifle and, other weapons, which now have a strength value of 2, will be better against Nurglings or Grots, but that's a very niche scenario, so we'll have to wait and see for this one as well. Then we have the melee weapons. The power sword went up to strength +1, AP -3, damage 1, in line with all the other power sword changes. It's good to see. The strength +1 will be really helpful to fight toughness 4 targets, and I think it's a little bit more impactful on strength 3 units than it is on strength 4 units like Space Marines. While we're on the topic of melee weapons, don't forget that Kabalite Warriors received an extra attack, so melee weapons in general will be better on these guys. Last but not least, we have the Agonizer, which received an additional AP, so it went up from AP -2 to AP -3. It's another really welcome change, but I was hoping for a damage boost as well, from damage 1 to damage 2. As it stands, we didn't get that, so we'll have to see what the special rules for the Agonizer bring. So what's the takeaway here? Throwing random power swords or agonizers on a Sebrite seem like a really good choice given that they have 3 attacks now. Meanwhile, we should keep a close eye on Ravagers with 3 Dark Lances. They could be really scary, depending on the points cost, of course. Also, people are speculating that the strength value was added to allow for rerolls and wound rolls if the strength of your weapon matches the toughness of your opponent. I'm talking about the Splinter Pistol, for example. So if you have, for example, the Splinter Cannon, which is a strength 3 weapon, it could be really potent if, the speculations are correct, against Sisters of Battle, Tau Fire Warriors, Eldar. We have to keep in mind that not every army has toughness 4, and a lot of them still have toughness 3. So a strength 3 weapon with, a potential wound reroll would be really good. But, keep in mind that this is just speculation. Alright, let's switch over to the Wyches. The stat line seems mostly unchanged, but the most crucial part about the Wyches went up by 1, and that's the attack value. With a little bit of luck, we are going to see 10 Wyches dish out 40 attacks. This is great to see, and this is obviously even more impactful than the extra attack on the Kabalite Warriors, since, Wyches have better access to melee weapons. There's no change for the armor save here though, but I feel like that has to be expected. They're squishy, they are fast with 8 inches movement, but I was still hoping for an armor save value of 5, but it is whatever. The ranged weapon changes for them are the same as for the Kabalite Warriors, so I won't go over them again. Meanwhile, their bread and butter weapon, the Hekatari Blade, received a much needed point of AP. I think this will make a massive change when it comes to the deadliness of Wyches. I see some math hammer coming up once we have the full data sheets, so I'll be sure to, give you a more detailed explanation, math, and tables to prove my point here. The Agonizer is the same as for the Kabalite Warriors, so an additional point of AP here. The Hydra Gauntlets, meanwhile, see huge changes. It goes from Strength plus 0, AP 1, and Damage 1 to a staggering Strength plus 2, AP minus 2, Damage 1 weapon. That's huge. But we will need to wait and see how many points these will cost, and if the Hydra Gauntlets get to retain their ability, which is an additional attack, and rerolling all wound rolls regardless. This looks very promising in my eyes, though, if GW doesn't screw up here. The Power Sword is still the Power Sword, so it's the same as I explained earlier, and the Razor Flails also remain unchanged as it seems. The special rule changes for the Razor Flails are what we're really interested in, but they are not shown here. So the last weapon we see here is the Shardnet and the Impaler. These received another boost for their AP, so to AP minus 2, which is great. It's a very potent weapon. I think it will be used a lot, and this just cements that. For some short speculations I saw on the internet, I doubt the Hekatari Blade will lose its extra attack. I saw a lot of people mention that. GW mentioned that Drukhari will receive buffs and increases to their attacks across the board. So yeah, I'm fairly certain 10 witches will possibly get to 40 attacks or more, and I don't think that would be overpowered. Another thing I see happening is that the Hydra Gauntlets will have very few but high quality attacks against high toughness targets. Meanwhile, the Razor Flail would have to grant 2 or 3 additional attacks flat. So you can generate a lot of lower strength and lower AP attacks. Because if it stays at, D3 additional attacks per attack, it would just not be as elegant, and that's not the way GW goes with, additional damage, additional attacks right now. So I'm really hoping for 3 additional attacks per attack with the Razor Flail. So we have like 2 very, very different weapon options for very different situations. A lot of my speculation depends on the drugs and how much those change. I do hope that the Strength plus 1 drug will still be a thing, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that impacts all of the witches, because that's like one of the core rules, and that's just something we need to wait and see. But I'm generally very positive about these changes, and I hope there's lots more to come. Alright, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Check out the links in the description below. Like and subscribe. I see you in the next video. Bye bye.